Birmingham Sports
with Ed Mackay.
This is BHBN Radio.
Welcome to A Window of Opportunity. I'm Ed Mackay and I am joined by a fabulous panel of the BHBN Sports team. This is our transfer show, so it's an opportunity for us to go round the West Midlands teams and see what the ins and outs are officially and some of the transfer rumours as well. We will manage to cover all four of the teams that we are personally responsible for broadcasting about, and if anything else comes up, then we'll discuss that as well. I'm joined by Kim Smith, Mike and Enton Barefoot are both here as well. So we're going to start with West Brom, and it's because they just need a little leg up this week. They've had a hard week, and I think it's about to get harder. We're recording this on Friday evening before they've played Derby, so it's going to be interesting how they get on. But they've got a good tonking of Norwich in the week. I was there with Jonathan Wimbush to commentate on that game, and it was hard to watch, guys. So let's give them a positive, and we start with an in. So I think it is a big positive because it shows the board are behind Eric Ramsey. Obviously, they've made a change. They've got rid of Ryan Mason. They brought a new manager in, and he's only been in the door for sort of 10 days or what have you, and they've brought him a new goalkeeper. So Max O'Leary comes in from Bristol City. He only had 6 months left on his deal at Bristol City. He'd refused to sign a new contract there. And so I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I think they are paying a nominal fee to get him for the last 6 months. And then he'll be out of contract and they can sign him on a permanent deal anyway. So, I mean, that's the only sort of secured signing that West Brom have made so far. So we'll go. I'll come to you first, then, Kim. I mean, is this an upgrade? Is this a positive move for them?
Well, O'Leary's in, and he's in the match day squad tonight, and I gather he's spent an hour with the rest of the squad. So it's either a very positive move or just complete blind panic. I'm hoping it's a really positive move, and and he does assert himself in the goal for West Brom tonight, because it's Derby tonight are a bit of a nemesis for West Brom. They don't have much luck with West Brom, despite the fact that West Brom aren't way at the other end of the table. I think Derby are about 10th to West Brom's 19th, and there isn't that many points between them, but they just don't do well against Derby. So, I mean, fingers crossed that O'Leary can make a bit of an impact. And fingers crossed that Mr. Ramsey can sort of get the West Brom squad to pull themselves together a bit, because earlier in the week, that was pretty horrible viewing. It really was.
It was dire, and I have to say, I know that a new coach is always going to be somewhat protective of his players, but I actually thought he sounded really flat and really disingenuous, actually, in the post-match press conference, because he wasn't critical at all. And I have to say, that was a performance worthy of criticism. I mean, I'll come to you, Mike. Obviously, he's been in there for less than 2 weeks. He's seen the keepers he's got, and he's said, like Kim said, it might be a bit of panic, but he said, get me a keeper. And he goes straight into the team. So, how do you view it? Is this a good idea?
Well, if he wanted that player, yes, it would be, because what he's got to do, he's got to impose his beliefs and his way of playing on that team. Now, he's coming to, I still think, the Championship is one of the toughest leagues in Europe. Yeah, it really, really is tough. And now West Brom, they've had changes throughout the season. They've had different managers, different opinions. You must think that those players, their heads must be spinning. Now, this guy's come in, apparently he's pretty radical. He's got his own ideas. He knows how he wants to play. Whether his style will suit the Championship we'll find out soon enough. But what he has to do is impose that very, very quickly, because if he doesn't, the
Well, he's
players
trying to
will
play a
just
five
lose
at the
sight.
back.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying. If he doesn't impose that and it doesn't work, the players will. You know what the players are like. They'll just down tools. And
Yeah, I think
we
you're right.
could be seeing West Brom changing the manager again. Because if he doesn't get a win and a good performance, well, first of all, not so much a win. He needs a good performance, and people need to see that team's joined up. At the moment, from what we've seen at West Brom, and if I'm lucky, I might watch a bit of it later. But if you don't see a performance and a joined up performance from that squad, it's not going to end well, is it? Now, if he said, right, part of my plan is I need a keeper, and I don't know what attributes, I don't know much about this keeper, to be fair. What his attributes are, he obviously is part of his plan for the team. If he can start there and we see some improvement tonight, he's had another week on the training ground with them, and morale must be pretty rock bottom with the West
Well,
Brom players at the moment.
he's played a lot of football for Bristol City, this particular keeper. He
Right.
does have a cap for Northern Ireland. He's a young guy, but he does seem to be quite au fait with the Championship and what's required. However, there is still links with Anthony Patterson coming in on loan from Sunderland. So they might be looking to replace both their keepers this window. They might just say, look, what we've got in the building just isn't going to cut it. And from what I saw on Tuesday, it isn't going to cut it. So that's one to watch, I suppose. If they bring in two keepers, then that does say a lot. Kim?
Yeah, I have to say, West Brom just remind me of what Blues were like 2 years ago, because you're saying about the players being confused and lost, and that's what they looked like the other night, and that's what the Blues team looked like the year before last when they ended up going into League One. And having been through that recently, I do really fear for them at the moment.
I think that's interesting because, well, I'll come to you now, Enton, because there is some positivity because, as I say, they're really targeting the goalkeeper position, but they're also looking for an attacker. Now, they've gone in for Wilson Isidore. However, there's a £25 million valuation for him, and
Oh,
both and both Everton and Forest have also inquired. So I think they've sort of thought, well, he's not going to come to us if the big boys are in, so to speak, just in the fact that they're Premier League teams, not to say that West Brom aren't a big team. So then they have now turned their attention to Will Lancashire. Now, Will Lancashire has been on loan in the Championship, but now I think he might return to his parent club, and West Brom are looking to get him in. And apparently, Ramsey has said that Will Lancashire will offer them the calmness in front of goal that they're lacking at the moment. So, Enton, I don't know if you know a lot about that about Will Lancashire. I have to admit, I haven't seen him play a lot, but the manager's talking him up, so he must be interested, right?
Well, yeah, that was more. It's more likely, isn't it, because the manager doesn't put words in his mouth he doesn't want to speak. So, again, like yourself, I've not heard of this young man. So, at the end of the day, if the manager is come in and he's identified this type of striker or how he wants to play, because fundamentally you've got to score goals. If you're bringing in somebody in that position, you want him to score goals. But the team then has got to gel around how they play and to get him to score goals. So it's a positive, isn't it? Because it's been brutal for the West Bromwich fans over the last 10 days. It's been absolutely brutal. So, like you said, with the goalkeeper, that's positive. And I'm going to say it. West Brom is a bigger team than Bristol City. So, they've had they've got the history. They've been in the Premier League, so they're a bigger team. So, as for the striker, if it's something that the manager, like I said, if there's something the manager wants and believes he can get him, it's then integrating him with the team to get him to score goals. It's fundamentally what a striker's job is.
Yeah, I think you're right. So clean sheets will potentially get you a point. Scoring goals will potentially get you three. So that's what West Brom are focusing on. We are going to have to move on, I'm afraid, because there's so much to get through with all of our clubs this week. We're going to do the Championship in the first half because some of the deals for our two Premier League teams are actually linked. So we'll tackle those together. So now let's move on to Kim's beloved Birmingham City, and of course they've had two more ins. We did suggest that they might be very active, and we talked about it at length last week that they were proactive and they were almost getting their ducks in a row because they saw a few outs last week and they've already made replacements. So August Priest comes in, a striker from Dewgarden for 6 million, and
Yeah.
Ibrahim Osman on loan from Brighton.
Yes, and of course the one we were talking about last week, John Solis, he's now over the line, and we did see him briefly against Sheffield Wednesday. I'm at B Stoke tomorrow, so hopefully we will see Osman and Priska, although I don't think Priska has played much in the last few weeks, so it depends because of where their season starts and finishes, so I suppose it depends how much fit he is. But also it looks like Mark Leonard might be off to Hearts on a loan. Go Ahead Eagles have made an inquiry about Alphonse Samsted, but at the moment I'm not sure whether he will go or not because of our sort of lacking the left back department, because we've got Kai Wagner, but of course our other left back options are a bit dodgy at the moment. Although there's a rumour about a young Chelsea player called Harry McGlinchey.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's been linked with us and Wolves and Sheffield United, so I suppose some of this will depend on, because he could go to Wolves and almost certainly end up in the Championship, or he could go to Blues or Sheffield United and possibly have a crack at the playoffs. We don't know.
I think it'll be more to do with game time, won't it?
Yeah. So I don't know, but with Cochrane out for a few months, and we don't know how long Lee Buchanan's going to be out. I'm assuming if Blues do secure him, then Samsted will definitely be on the way out. If they don't, I'm assuming Samsted will stay.
So what I have is that Davies is targeting two more players. So he wants a winger because obviously Cochrane's injury issues, and he wants a defender. Obviously, Samsted is up in the air. But what I've looked at this here, and you were really heavily linked to Jeremy Sarmiento, but he looks Middlesbrough bound now.
Yeah. I was looking at that one earlier, and Blues did show interest, but I think it's more than likely he's going to go to Borough. And of course, we know Jeremy Sarmiento on this patch because he did have a spell at West Brom. But obviously he may be off up north and will be looking elsewhere. But yeah, Chris Davis in press interviews has said he definitely wants another winger and another centre back because, of course, with cashing off, it does leave us a bit light in that department.
So he's sort of drawn up a list, and it seems like you have links with only clubs that start with B are allowed to work together. Birmingham, because you've gone back to Brighton, and you've inquired about James Beadle, their young goalkeeper on loan, and then Basel, which we discussed last week. They were looking at a couple of Basel players, didn't we? Carlos Vicente and Philip Otelli from Basel,
yes,
both wingers. But I can't.
No, about either of them. And then also at the presser after last Saturday's game at Swansea, Chris Davis confirmed that they are in discussions about Patrick Roberts and about how they can make him permanent. But haven't heard anything since then. But hopefully we will hear more about that soon, because he's not done too badly for Blues, to be honest.
No, I mean, Enton, we spoke last week about, the playoff push, if you like, not necessarily actually making it into the playoffs, but the fact that Chris Davis is being heavily backed, they're obviously quite happy with the work he's doing. And two more in this week. I'm targeting two more. What do you make of that? Do you think this is
Yeah, it's good movement.
Birmingham moving in the right direction?
Definitely, yeah, good movement for the club. And again, it just shows the managers, if he's got the backing, then he's going to identify players that hopefully he can bring in. It can only be beneficial, and I suppose it'll give the supporters something to chat about at work, and the positivity around that the club are trying to bring players in. So again, for that push, shall we say, that final push for the playoffs, it'll do Birmingham no harm if they can get those type of players in and hit the ground running with them as well. So it's good news. It's really good news.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mike, you see Blues play live a few times this season, I suppose. I mean, is what we were suggesting last week is that they were trying to shuffle the pack and maybe upgrade the level or the standards of the overall squad rather than buying, starters to get in the playoff. And it looks like if you're getting a few out and six in, he wants a makeup of a squad that can, withstand the robustness of the championship. Is that the plan, do you think?
Yeah. Well, as you know, being in the championship, it's a marathon, isn't it? And he needs the squad to take him to the final destination. Now, Kim will tell you there's been times where they just haven't stepped up to that, and some of the players probably, are playing through injuries. Maybe they're tired, and this will freshen things up. Now, that's the final push now, isn't it, to see if they can get out of that division this year. But they will have one eye on thinking, if we don't get out, we've got to start positively next season, and they will need their squad to do that. I don't know what the contract situation is at Birmingham City of some of these players, but again, I imagine because they've got the money, they'll have a plan. They'll have a plan to get them to the end of this season, but they'll have a backup plan if it doesn't go according to plan. They'll have a plan to say, right, for next season, how much more do we need to build on top of the squad we've got? And maybe some of these signings coming in will be the foundations for next season, if you know what I mean.
Good point, actually. And do you think it's also encouraging for players who are already in that dressing room, if they do have contract talks coming up, it shows ambition that they're making signings in January, that they're trying to support them, if you like, because a keeper, a winger, a striker, a left back, they're almost trying to create that two players for every position squad,
and they're strengthening across the field, aren't they, from back to front? Kim will tell you, there probably is. They do need freshening up, don't they? And they need to make a good push now in the second half of this season to try and get themselves at least the playoffs. And it's going to be difficult because they've tailed off quite a bit, and the teams in front of him, Ipswich, Middlesbrough, Coventry, of course, Millwall, that unless they fall back, they've got a lot of catching up to do. Now they've got the squad, they've got the players, and they've given Davies probably the tools now to try and have a good crack at that. And it'll be interesting to see how the next 4 or 5 games, once those players blend in, and he's got the squad and he can use it to see if they do kick on from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just say one thing before we move on there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just to say that the board have obviously, they believe in Curtis Davies, don't they? So they're giving him the opportunity to bring players in. So I think that's a positive as well. So it looks like he's got the backing of the board, isn't it? So
no, I make you right with that one because we've got 4 in now. So 2 this week, August Prisk and Ibrahim Osman, and they're targeting 2 more. Ones to watch are Harry McGinty and Carlos Vicente and Philip Otele. So we will hopefully bring you more news on Birmingham City Inns next week. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we are going to move to the Premier League.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through Gift Aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
Welcome back to A Window of Opportunity. I'm Ed Mackay. This is the BHBN Sports team. I'm joined by Kim, Mike, and Enton, and we have covered West Brom and Birmingham City. And we're going to now move on to Mike's beloved Aston Villa. So, massive news today because Villa have managed to, well, it's all but done. The medical has been arranged for tomorrow. That's what I've read. So he's flying in this evening and he'll undertake a medical tomorrow. Tammy Abrahams. Now, we reported that this was all but done last week, but it looks like the structuring of the transfers changed a little. So it's 18.2 million up front plus add-ons with young Yasin Ozcan going the other way. So it's a player plus money deal. But it's the striker and the goals that I think Emery was worried that he doesn't have to secure his place. I mean, we here at BHBN, we know it's your title to lose, but Emery just doesn't seem as confident as maybe Jonathan Wimbush. So Mike, talk to me about how happy you are to see, a proven goal scorer coming back to your team, and he's scored goals for your team before.
Yeah, he did, and albeit it was in the Championship. Now the question marks will be, okay, he was great. We were in the Championship. We had a good squad then, and he was good for us. I mean, he has done it in the Premiership with Chelsea, of course, and by all accounts, he's got good stats wherever he's been, and he's with Besiktas at the moment, who are not a particularly good team, but he's still scoring goals. Now, when Villa let Marlon go, they had to bring someone in, and that was very evident at the Everton game the weekend. And also, even last night, I don't know whether you saw Villa in Europe last night, but we created so many chances, and Watkins, he missed quite a few. Sanchez could have scored a couple, and we really lack that killer touch up front. The approach play at times was absolutely, I'll say as a Villa fan, I thought it was exceptional, the approach play, but in the final, around that box, we're not clinical, and it's going to cost us. Now,
well, you
will he play
commentated on the game at the weekend, and you sounded, from your commentary, it sounded a bit toothless then. So certainly a goal scorer. I mean, Ollie Watkins, I don't see him as an out-and-out striker. I know he's a good player, but I think Tammy Abrahams is an upgrade in terms of a finisher.
Yeah, he's more of a natural finisher, isn't he? And he's a bit more physical than Watkins. And I think maybe it gives the manager now a few options. He may move Watkins out wide and bring Tammy in the middle. I mean, he's done that before. Or will he be just seen as a backup to Watkins? And he must have had this conversation with Tammy Abrahams and said, what his position will be in the club. But if he's there and he comes on and starts scoring goals, it's going to be hard to leave him out.
Yeah, I mean, you've also seen Madjo come in from Metz. I see him more as a squad player. He's a body in the building. Leon Bailey's returned from what you would say is an unsuccessful loan period, really, because he hasn't been getting a game. And then the really interesting one, and this is one that I want to talk to Enton about as well, because Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you've obviously got a midfield crisis with Kamara's now. It looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. McGinn took that knock. He's out for a few weeks, isn't he? So Ruben Loftus-Cheek on a permanent from AC Milan. £13.1 million is the bid. The only thing is that AC Milan in the background are trying to do a contract extension to protect his value. So
Well, yeah,
they're putting up
Yeah,
hurdles, but they're listening to the offer. So
yeah.
would
I'd
that
be,
be the kind of profile?
yeah, I'd be more excited about seeing him because that's where we do need. I mean, I've said about it with Toughless up front, but the way Unai Emery plays with the system he plays, if he relies on that holding midfield player, that aggressive midfield player, to give Tillemans the license to move around the field as he does, and he's our most creative player in that middle. Now, without someone like that next to him, he struggles. He really does struggle. So
Houston made up
Loftus-Cheek.
with Tillemans now, has he?
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it? It's funny how I tell you what, it's the press are horrendous, aren't they? I mean, I've been reading today, even Sky's Talk Sport this morning, say, wonder if Tillemans is looking for a move and all this. I mean, it's just rubbish, isn't it? I mean,
What kind of people would just
nonsense.
frivolously talk nonsense about transfers just to get clicks? I don't know, eh?
exactly.
Henson, what do you think of the Ruben Loftus-Cheek links?
If it pans out, I think that's a good signing. Like Mike said, it's the holding midfielder. He's to go to AC Milan. You have to be good. So he's got something, hasn't he? So AC Milan are one of Europe's best teams in Europe and in the world. So there's lots to like about Loftus-Cheek. He's calm, he's tall, he's strong. He just didn't obviously make the grade at Chelsea at that time, but I think it's going to be. I want to be positive because I think he's a very good footballer. I think he's got a football brain as well, and I think he's one of them midfielders. And I think he'll be vocal as well.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about him,
is that good value? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I think that. Go on, Mike.
I was just going to say the only thing that's held him back is his injury.
Yes,
record.
yeah,
exactly. And that's why probably if he didn't have those injuries, he'd probably still be at Chelsea.
Yeah,
but this is a concern. Wherever he's been, he's had injury problems. But I'll let you carry on because you were going to talk about the fee as well now.
Well, I was just 13 million. 30 million.
It's in today's money. It's not really a lot of money, is it? When you think about the transfers that are going round, it's a gamble. Like you're right, Mike. Again, it's the injury, the type of injuries he's suffered with as well. It will be a gamble, but if you can keep him fit, get him playing, I think it's for £13 million. I think it's a good investment for the time being, anyway.
Yeah, and I would like to see him come through the door, definitely.
Well, there is another bid that Aston Villa have lodged, and that's for Ferran Torres. So there's another option.
Yeah.
So they are definitely looking to add numbers. I mean, Kim, you saw Emery. I thought it was teetering on the edge of a little bit of a meltdown last week when he was just not backing them to finish in the top 4 or top 5. But I think it was more an attack on the system, if you like, rather than having a dig at the board. Because I think he knows the board are fully behind him. But this kind of looks positive, doesn't it? You've got Tammy Abraham and Maggio coming in, and then bids for Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Ferran Torres. Do you think this is all looking like the kind of backup that Emery needs at this point, or do they need to do more?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously Villa are a bit short of bodies at the moment, and the stuff about Martinez still is not going away. But a name
he's heavily linked with Inter.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen until the summer.
But the other name I have heard linked with Villa, if Martinez is on the move, is Trafford, because he needs game time if he's going to go to the World Cup, and I think he'd be a really good buy for Villa. To buy off the loan.
Ben was saying last night, because Martinez didn't play last night. The second keeper played. Remind me of his name, Mike. Sorry,
I can't remember.
Bissot, that's it, yeah. And he was saying he's actually happier with Bissot in goal than Martinez anyway. So that is sort of analysis.
Well, he's picked up on that because there was a poll on some of the Villa podcast earlier on. I was listening to one on the way home, and people were saying Bissot put him in because they're seeing Martinez as a bit of a liability now. So yeah, and people are saying, well, Bissos, he's okay, and would go for that. Just to come back on a point you picked up earlier, it's what I've heard with Unai Emery is when he says we're not contenders, it's a bit of a language thing. So what he's trying to say is we're not favourites. He doesn't mean contenders. He means favourites. So what he's saying is we are not favourites to finish in the top 5, even though we're in a good position now. I mean, and you look, I mean, I was looking at the table earlier. If you think Man United start playing well, like they did the weekend, Liverpool, I think, have turned a corner. So, you've got to look at those two. And it only needs Chelsea now to pick up. And I know there's a bit of a gap, but Villa, we're going to Newcastle weekend. Traditionally, we do not win there. In fact, we usually get.
You convince me, Mike. I agree with Emery. I don't think that you're going to finish third. Don't worry.
Yeah. But no. But we always get spanked at Newcastle, and then after that, we have got Brentford and whatever. But it's going to be difficult to end the season if we don't get bodies in.
No, I agree. He needs some support. He needs to get some numbers in. It looks like they are trying for him, and you think Tammy will be available for Brentford, so that's a big one. And then the other person that they were linked with, and I don't know whether this was just to get the Tammy Abrahams deal over the line, or whether it was because they want both, and that's still a possibility. Although you think they'd be pretty close to PSR if they were to buy Tammy Abrahams and Mateta from Crystal Palace, and I'm not sure about that. Mateta as well. I think Parish is going to try to hold on for him. They've put a £40 million valuation on his head, and both Villa and some clubs on the continent are interested in him. But it leads us nicely into Wolverhampton Wanderers, because Palace if he does go, have targeted Strand Larsen as the player they want to replace him. Now, the interesting thing about that is Leeds made a £33 million bid for Strand Larsen, and Wolves rejected it. Now, I don't think Wolves really are desperate to hang on to Strand Larsen. I think what they're saying is, no, there's 40 million coming potentially from Palace, so we're not going to take 33 off you. So I think they're holding out for 40 million because of the Mateta valuation. So we've spoke about this 2 or 3 weeks in a row now, because Wolves are under attack, basically, because they're already planning for life in the Championship, you think, from their transfer activity. So Sam Surridge still heavily linked to come in from Nashville. They are actually in negotiations with them now. So that's a £6 million deal, and 6 million, that's a Championship striker, not a Premier League striker. But if he's coming in to replace Strand Larsen, I mean, I am critical of Strand Larsen's ability this year, but he's linked with Villa, Leeds, Palace, and Forest. So, I mean, is he off?
Yeah, I just think I think you're right. From what I've seen of him, he shows glimpses of being a decent striker. 40 million's worth, I think that's well over valuation. But I think if anyone could get the best out of him, I think he should go to Forest, and Dyche could,
really, Dyche,
because I think he's that kind of player. Well, no, because you remember when they had Woods there. I mean, I think he's that ilk, really. And I don't think they're going to get 40 million for him. I'll be very, very surprised. You think, who would you have, Mateta or Strazen?
Well, Mateta misses a lot of chances as well, actually.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah.
Well, Kim, I mean, if you were nodding along there when I talked about the Leeds bid, I mean, do you think Daniel Farquhar's already resurrected young Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Could he get a tune out of Strand Larsen if he was to move from Wolves?
Oh, blimey. I suppose you never know, because as you say, he's just so inconsistent, and you don't know whether the problem's his feet or his head, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whether he's got anything between his ears is what I'm worried about.
Yeah. But is he in the right place? I mean, you think a striker like Woods, he gets the Forest, he plays brilliant under Nunes, and I think a striker has to be, they have to be loved, they have to be centre of attention, and maybe he's not that at Wolves, and maybe the way they play just doesn't suit him. And he
Well, I was
probably
there
just
2 weeks ago, and there's no way he should be starting ahead of Aruka. He was beast on the day one. Every header
yeah, yeah,
he had players manhandle him. He shook them off. Son
yeah,
Larson doesn't look interested in the same way. I think he wants away, and with
yeah,
this many clubs interested, I think my feeling is he's going to go before you know the transfer window
yeah,
closes.
yeah, yeah.
There are some other links, and I'm going to come straight to Enton with this one because Andre in the midfield, and I know we spoke about them dismantling their spine, but Andre's linked with Liverpool. Would that be a good signing for Liverpool?
What can I say? I don't
Unconvinced.
want to. I don't want to be. I don't want to sound dismissive, but I don't. That no, no,
Not having
no.
it. Okay.
I'm not having that. So again, like it's the type of player that that slot wants to bring to improve his squad. So if he thinks that's the player that's going to do it, then I'd probably chuck him in for a once over, if I'm honest, because his mind's probably playing games with him. So not for me.
Okay. How about then João Gomez? Interest from Atletico Madrid. What do we think of that one, Kim? Is
Oh,
that a
blimey.
good? Is that a good move for the player? Is it good business for Wolves?
Could be good business for Wolves, couldn't
But yeah,
it?
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Does he seem like an Atletico Madrid player? Is he the replacement for Conor Gallagher? That's what I suppose I'm getting at. Is that?
yeah, it's a difficult
I
one,
think
that,
they
isn't it?
want him
But
to be.
yeah, but Wolves again, they're preparing for next year, aren't they?
Yeah.
And people like
Yeah.
Joe Gomez are not going to stay, are they? Or if they want to keep them,
No.
that they're going to find a way out the door. So maybe
Yeah, of
if they
course.
can
They're
get
going
a
to have
good,
clauses, aren't they?
yeah, if they can get a good fee, maybe use that money, get some, I dare say, championship players in, without being too derogatory about that. But you need someone that's going to be robust and build your team around that for the championship. So maybe
Well, one of the names that
that's what we have to do.
one of the names that they're monitoring from Bristol City is Anis
Yeah.
Mametti. So is it that some of these players are ready to jump ship and they're now monitoring players from the Championship to build a squad? It's a bit of a shame, really, because they're just starting to fight in the Premier League, and Rob Edwards is getting a tune out the players, but it's just too little, too late. They've
Yeah,
got to
it's too
start
late.
planning.
Too late.
Yeah.
So Kim, you seemed like you'd heard about the Mametti link as well.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Manetti, and I've seen him play because I went down to Ashton Gate for Bristol City v Blues, and he is good. He's got lots of goal involvements. He's had something like 8 goals and 6 assists already this season. And he could be a good fit for Wolves because if he did go, he would get a few months Premier League experience, but we know he's going to perform in the Championship. So he could be a good move for them. And then the other one that's been linked with Wolves is Calvin Phillips from Man City, who
Yes.
cannot get in the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's
he
horrendous.
hasn't really been able to get a kick of the ball for a year and a half now, has he? So
Yeah.
maybe longer. I know he had that injury problem, but I think he has been back for a while and he's not going to play for Man City. And actually, he's probably at the stage of his career where, if he hits the ground running at the end of this season, he'd actually be probably a
Yeah.
really effective player for Wolves in the Championship.
I mean, how old is Calvin
Um,
Phillips now? I mean, he's probably younger than we think he is because he's been around a long
Yeah.
time. But he was such a good player, wasn't he? When he went to Man City, his career went downhill drastically. I mean, he had loan spells at where was he? Was he at Ipswich? He was at Ipswich at one stage, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah. Well, he's
Calvin
30.
Phillips.
I've just checked.
30.
He's 30
Yeah.
years old. So it's
So
probably the right time, if you like.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he would be a good asset. I think if you can get 50% of the Calvin Phillips that we know, yeah, it'd be good.
Well, he might be the one. Then the only other thing for Wolves is that Fer Lopez is linked with a loan return to Celta Vigo, and that makes sense because he hasn't really played for them. So that's another one that hasn't worked out. Okay, so we will have to wrap up the show there then. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike, Enton, and Kim. I've been Ed Mackay. This has been a window of opportunity.
Birmingham Sports
with Ed Mackay.
This is BHBN Radio.